have 4 different types of slopes. So you have your positive slope. Your positive slope is going to be increasing. It's going to be going up from left to right. The way you read a book is the way you read a graph. And then on this side, it is going down. So this is a negative slope. Okay, you read your graph from left to right. Then we have what we call a zero slope. So it's a horizontal line. And so the way I remember that horizontal lines have a slope of 0 is you can actually make the letter Z with a 0 slope. And our last type of slope is undefined. It is a vertical line, which is up and down. Okay, and this is a undefined slope or an undefined slope. And so the way I remember this is you can actually make the letter U with that. All right, next it says you can find the slope by writing the ratios of the rise over the run. So in order for us to find the rise over the run, we do have to find 2 points on the graph. So I'm just going to pick 2 points. So here is one, and then here is another point where we have. So the amount of spaces that it goes up and down and to the right, so up and down is 1. Okay, and it's actually going down because it's decreasing, so I'm going to put -1. And then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. So our slope here is going to be -1 over 5. All right, number 2, we're going to pick another 2 points again. So this is going to be 1 point. And then the other point looks like it's about right here. So then we're going to make our slope triangle. We call this the slope triangle. And this time our graph is going up. So this is +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is going up 6. And then 1, 2, to the right 2. So our slope here is 6 over 2. If you can reduce it, 6 over 2 gives you 3. Okay, the next one, again, you do the exact same thing. You pick 2 points, and then again, our graph is going down. So when we count the rise over the run, in this case, it is going down 1, 2, 3 units. So -3, and it's going to the right 2. So our slope here is -3 over 2. All right, the next way that you can find slope is by using the slope formula. So it's y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, now the x1 and the y1, what that means is, for example, here, this is my first point. So that's my x1, y1. This is my second point. So this is x2, y2. So when we set this up, on the top, we subtract the y's. So on the top, we're going to be subtracting 8 minus 3. So for a slope formula M, we are going to subtract 8 minus 3 on top. And then on bottom, we're going to subtract the x values, and it's going to be 4 minus -2 because my x value is negative. So just be careful because a lot of the times we forget to put that negative if there's a negative in that point, especially when we're subtracting. So now we're going to simplify. So 8 minus 3 is 5. 4 minus -2, 2 negatives make a positive, and 4 plus 2 gives us 6. So our slope here is 5 over 6. The next one, again, we're going to do the same thing. On the top, we're going to subtract our y values. On the bottom, we're going to subtract our x values, and we start with the second point. So this one is our first point, x1, y1, and this one is our second point, x2, y2. So when we set this up, on the top we're going to do 2 minus 3, and on the bottom we're going to do 5 minus a -3 equals. So 2 minus 3, that is going to give us -1. Over, and then on the bottom, 5 minus a -3. Again, 2 negatives make a positive. So this turns into a plus, and that's going to give us 8. So here it is -1 over 8. All right, the next one. 3 over 4 and 3 over 7. So again, on the top, we are going to subtract our y values. So 7 minus 4. So M equals 7 minus 4. And then on the bottom, we have 3 and 3. So on the bottom, we're going to be subtracting 3 minus 3. So on the top, 7 minus 4 gives us 3. And then on the bottom, 3 minus 3 gives us 0. And 3 divided by 0 is impossible. That gives us undefined. All right. Now, if our equations are written in slope-intercept form, so this is slope-intercept form, okay? And the reason it's called slope-intercept form is because you can find the slope and the intercept, the y-intercept specifically, from the equation. So the m, which represents the slope, is always the number that's multiplied times the x, or whatever letter they're using, of the line, and b is going to represent where we begin, which we begin at the y-intercept. Okay, so if we look here, when we're looking for a slope, we're looking for the x value. There's a -4 in front of the x, so my slope is going to be -4. The 9 is our constant, the number by itself. So in this case, a 9 is going to be our y-intercept, which is in 9. Okay, if it's +9, it's a +9. If it's -3, it's a -3. All right, number 8. If we look here in front of the x, we have 2/9. And then the constant, which is a number without a letter next to it, is -3. So we're going to put it down as -3. And that's your y-intercept, your b. Next, in front of the x, we have -1/3. So m, our slope, is -1/3. And then the number that is by itself without any letters next to it is a +2. So that one's our y-intercept, 2. Now, we can also find it if our equation of our line is in standard form, which is ax plus by equals c, which means the x and the y are on the same side of the equal sign, and the constant is by itself on this side, okay? When that happens, you can actually use this little formula we have here. Our slope is going to be -a over b. So whatever sign a is, you're going to take the opposite of that, and you're going to divide it by the b value, which is the number in front of the y. So for example here, our a is the number in front of the x, which is 4. And then our b is the number in front of the y, which is 2. And then the formula calls for you to put, a negative in front of the a. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put a negative in front of the a. And so -4 over -2 is going to reduce to -2. Okay. Now, not only do they want us to identify the slope, but they also want us to identify the y-intercept. Okay, so the formula for the y-intercept is the c divided by the b. So in this case, our c is going to be 10. So it's going to be 10 over our b, which is 2. We write it here. This is a, b, and c. And then 10 divided by 2 gives us 5. So let me go ahead and write that in here. My b is 5. My m is -2. All right, so we're going to do the same thing again. Now this is my a, my b, and my c. And so my a is 3, my b is -6, and my c is 12. So for my slope, it's going to be -a, which a is 3, so -3 over b, which is -6. So when we reduce this, -3 divided by -6 is going to give me a +1/2, because 2 negatives make a positive. So that's what I'm going to write here, 1/2. All right, and then for my b, my y-intercept. So my y-intercept, the formula is c, which is 12, divided by b, which is -6. And 12 divided by -6 is -2. All right, and then the last one of these, number 12, again, we're going to do the same thing. We identify our A, our B, and our C. And we are finding our slope and our y-intercept. So here on our M, it's going to be -A over B. So A happens to be -2. So I'm going to put -2 here. Okay, but remember the formula calls for you to put a negative in front of the A. So we end up with a double negative here. Over on our B, it is -7. So we're going to divide it by -7. So then -2 gives us a +2 over -7. And then that's going to stay like that. It doesn't simplify. So M is equal to -2 over 7. Now for our B. So for our B, the formula calls for C to be on top. So in this case, our C is 13 over our B. Our B is -7. So 13 over -7. That doesn't reduce. You can't divide 13 by -7. So it's going to stay like that. -13 over 7. All right, horizontal and vertical lines. So your horizontal and vertical lines, you either have a 0 slope or an undefined slope. So the way we're going to do these is we're just going to make a tiny little graph here at the bottom. I'm going to label my axis. This is my X, this is my Y. Let's do the same thing for all of them. That we already have all our graphs set up. This is X, this is Y. X, Y. X and Y. Okay, so once you're done drawing all your graphs, we look at the first one. So the first one here says that y is equal to -4. So then on our y-axis, we find -4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we make a horizontal line going straight through it. Okay, because it's a horizontal line, you can make the letter Z for 0. So M is equal to 0. Our slope is 0. And then we're going to identify if it's a horizontal or vertical line. So in this case, it's a horizontal line. For the next one, we have X equals 7. So we identify our X-axis, which is right here. We find where 7 would be. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We make our point on it, and then we make a vertical line this time, up and down, going through the X-axis at 7. This is everywhere where X is equal to 7. And so this time, this is a vertical line, and you can make the letter U. So your slope for this one is undefined. And this is a vertical line. The next one, this one is y equals 7. So here's my y-axis. I'm going to find 7. So 7 would be somewhere up here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I make my point and I make a line going straight through it. This is everywhere where y is equal to 7. Again, this is a horizontal line. You can make the letter Z with it for 0. So the slope of this one is equal to 0. In the last example, we have x equals -2. So we identify our x-axis. -2 would be 1, 2 would be right here. And we make a line going straight through that point. It's going to be vertical, straight up and down. So vertical. And anytime you have a vertical line, you can make the letter U with it. And that is undefined, an undefined slope. And that's it.